Why is it that some people, some organizations just seem to capture our imagination? They inspire this incredible loyalty. People take action, while others, even with similar products or resources, just sort of exist. What is that secret, that spark behind truly transformative leadership, the kind that goes way beyond just, managing day to day? Today, we're doing a deep dive into Simon Sinek's really influential book, Start With Why. And we're not just going to summarize it, plenty of people have done that. We want to really dig into how Sinek makes his argument. What strategies does he use to persuade us, and what kind of lasting impact has he actually had? Welcome to the deep dive. You're experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's NotebookLM, designed for deeper, more dynamic book analysis.
It's worth remembering when this book came out. It really landed at a time when a lot of companies were grappling with employee engagement, right? Purpose-driven leadership wasn't just a buzzword. It felt missing. Sinek saw this kind of widespread corporate disconnect from any real meaningful purpose. It felt like many were just adrift.
Yeah, a lot of what and how, but no compelling why.
Exactly. His book offered a really powerful way to think differently about that mediocrity.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea. Sinek's goal here is pretty ambitious, isn't it? He basically wants leaders to fundamentally rethink how they communicate and make decisions. Not just tweaking things, but starting from a totally different place.
Absolutely. And his main tool for this is the golden circle. That's the heart of it.
Right, the why, how, what structure.
Yeah. And the key is that he argues the most successful, the truly inspiring leaders communicate from the inside out. They start with why they do what they do, their core belief, their purpose. Then they talk about how they achieve that why. And only then, finally, do they get to what they actually do or sell.
Which is the complete opposite of how most organizations talk, right? They lead with the what.
Precisely. And Sinek's point is that this inside-out approach resonates much more deeply.
What really sparked this? You mentioned the timing, but was it a specific event or just this general observation?
Well, he frames it as coming from his direct observations of, frankly, corporate mediocrity and some pretty significant leadership failures. He saw a lack of real inspiration, people just going through the motions.
He wasn't just theorizing in a vacuum.
Not at all. And that really defines his target audience. Primarily, it's for leaders, current ones, aspiring ones, entrepreneurs, anyone making decisions who feels that disconnect and wants to, inspire rather than just manage.
Yeah.
But there's a really interesting secondary audience too, isn't there?
Yeah, the employees themselves, people looking for meaning in their work, feeling that same lack of purpose maybe?
Exactly. It resonates with anyone who wants their work to feel like more than just a job. So it's a call to action on multiple levels.
Okay, so that's the core idea and who it's for. But how does he convince people? This is where it gets really interesting, I think, his style.
It's quite distinctive. He manages to sound authoritative, like an expert, but also really accessible and inspirational.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. He's not just laying out business theory. He's crafting a narrative that makes you feel the importance of this why.
And he uses all the classic tools of persuasion, the rhetorical appeals. Ethos, pathos, logos, credibility, emotion, logic. He weaves them together pretty seamlessly.
Let's break those down. How does he build that ethos, his credibility?
Well, theirs is his professional background, obviously. He worked as a leadership consultant, studied organizational behavior. That gives him a foundation.
Okay, so he's got the credentials.
Right. But I think his TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action, was huge for his credibility. It went viral, positioned him as a major thought leader even before the book solidified it.
Ah, so people already saw him as an expert.
Exactly. And in the book, he constantly reinforces this by positioning himself as someone who's observed these patterns across many successful organizations. He's not just guessing, he's synthesized observations. Plus, he brings in bits of neurobiological research to explain why this approach works with our brains and uses detailed case studies as evidence.
Okay, so credibility is well established. What about pathos, the emotional side? Because the book definitely has an emotional pull.
Oh, absolutely. He's a master at this. He uses very aspirational language, inspire action, great leaders. It taps into our desire for meaning and impact, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes you want to be one of those great leaders.
And the stories he uses, Martin Luther King Jr., Apple, the Wright brothers, these are powerful, emotionally resonant examples that most people connect with. They aren't just illustrations. They evoke feelings of hope, possibility, maybe even frustration with the status quo.
That frustration point is interesting. He kind of highlights the mediocrity first.
Yes, he makes you feel the problem, the lack of purpose, the uninspired leadership, so you genuinely start to yearn for the alternative he's presenting. It's very effective emotional framing.
And then logos, the logic. How does he make the argument seem rational and sound?
The golden circle itself is a key part of his logical appeal. It's simple, it's visual, why, how, what. It gives a clear structure to his argument, makes it easy to grasp.
It feels intuitive once you see it.
Right, but then he grounds it in biology, or at least references to it. He talks about the limbic system in the brain, the part responsible for feelings, trust, decision-making.
And argues that it responds to why, not just facts and figures.
Exactly. By saying start with why aligns with how our brains are actually wired, he gives the idea a kind of scientific backing. It feels less like opinion and more like, well, how humans operate. He also uses comparative analysis, showing companies that do start with why versus those that don't to logically demonstrate the difference in outcomes.
And beyond those three main appeals, he uses other techniques too, right? Like those examples.
Yes, the concrete examples are crucial. Take the Wright brothers. He doesn't just say they had a why. He tells the story their belief drove them, not just the potential reward. It makes the abstract concept feel very real, very tangible.
And the repetition. He hammers home certain phrases.
Definitely. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You hear that or variations of it again and again.
It really sticks in your head.
It's designed to. It helps shift your mindset, makes the core idea memorable and practical. And the golden circle visual itself is a powerful metaphor that simplifies everything.
So all these strategies combine to make these potentially abstract ideas feel concrete, memorable, and, importantly, actionable.
Exactly. He's not just trying to inform you, he's trying to activate you, to get you to do something differently.
So thinking about all this, what does it mean for the reader, for you? What are the clear, undeniable strengths of this book and Sinek's whole approach?
Well, first off, the golden circle model itself. Its simplicity is its genius, really. It's easy to understand and genuinely feels applicable, whether you're leading a huge company or just a small team. It gives you a starting point.
A practical framework.
Precisely. Second, those compelling success stories, Apple, MLK, they're well-known, they resonate, and they create a very strong pull, both emotionally and logically. He anchors his points in examples people already admire.
Makes the argument feel grounded.
Third, the neurobiology references, even if brief, add a layer of scientific credibility. It makes the why feel less like a soft skill and more like a fundamental aspect of human motivation.
Right, it taps into that desire for evidence.
And finally, the whole thing feels actionable. It provides steps, a way to think about implementing this in your own organization. And you just had to look around the widespread adoption of start with why in leadership training, in corporate language. That tells you it hit a nerve. It was persuasive.
Okay, before we get into critiques, just a quick note. You're listening to a deep dive into powerful ideas, and if you're looking for more ways to engage with insightful summaries and analyses, be sure to check out Mindful Moments on our YouTube channel. It offers AI book analysis that truly inspires reflection and rational thought. All right, so we've talked about the strengths, the impact, but, no big idea like this exists in a vacuum, right? There have to be some critiques, some potential limitations, or intellectual challenges to Sinek's framework.
That's a really important point. And yes, while Start With Why is incredibly influential, it's definitely faced some valid criticisms. It raises some good questions.
Such as?
Well, one common critique is that in its quest for that elegant simplicity, it might actually oversimplify the real complexities of running an organization.
Meaning the real world is messier.
Exactly. Things like market dynamics, fierce competition, regulations, internal politics. These are huge factors. Can you really solve everything just by finding a compelling why? Probably not. It might downplay the crucial role of strategy, execution, and just plain luck sometimes.
That's a fair point. I mean, having a great why is fantastic, but it doesn't automatically solve, say, a global supply chain issue or a sudden market crash.
Right. And related to that, another critique focuses on the authenticity of the why. The intense pressure Sinek puts on finding this core purpose. Could it actually encourage organizations to just invent one?
Like creating an artificial why just for marketing purposes.
Precisely. Rather than discovering a purpose that's genuinely, deeply felt and authentic to the organization's history and values, some might just craft a statement that sounds good. It risks turning the why into a branding exercise rather than a true guiding principle.
That's a really interesting tension. How do you tell the difference between a real why and a manufactured one? That seems critical if you're trying to actually apply this.
It's a tough question. And one more critique often raised is about his use of examples.
The case studies, Apple, the Wright brothers.
Yeah, they're powerful, no doubt. But critics argue they can be selective. He highlights organizations where a strong why seemed to lead to success, but does that narrative account for all the other factors involved?
Like talent, resources, timing, market conditions.
Exactly. It might imply that the why was the single determining factor, which is rarely the case. Success is usually a complex mix of things. So it's not that the why isn't important, but maybe the narrative overemphasizes its singular power.
Okay, so potential oversimplification, the risk of artificial purpose, and maybe a selective view of success factors. Given these valid points, where do we land? Did Sinek ultimately succeed in his main goal, inspiring leaders to change their approach?
Despite those limitations, those important nuances we need to consider, I think the answer has to be yes. He absolutely succeeded in his primary goal.
Why do you say that so definitively?
Just look at the book's enduring popularity. It's been translated everywhere. It's a staple in business schools and corporate leadership programs. His rhetorical choices, the framework he built, clearly resonated incredibly strongly with his intended audience.
So the impact speaks for itself.
I think so. He tapped into a real hunger for purpose and meaning in the business world and provided an accessible, memorable, and inspiring way to think about it. He created a persuasive call for change that continues to shape conversations about leadership today. He absolutely got people thinking differently.
So we've really covered the spectrum here on Start With Why. We looked at that powerful core idea, the golden circle.
Yeah, and dug into how he builds his argument, the ethos, pathos, logos, the examples, the repetition.
And importantly, we also considered the critiques, the limitations, giving us that more balanced perspective on its overall impact.
And maybe connecting this to the bigger picture, in a world just drowning in information, everyone telling you what to do, how to do it, maybe the most valuable skill is learning to discern the why.
Both in others and in ourselves, perhaps.
Exactly. Is that why you're hearing, or even the one you're thinking about for yourself? Is it authentic? Or is it just manufactured? How do we tell the difference? That feels like a crucial question moving forward.
Definitely something to reflect on. Keep exploring these ideas, keep questioning, and above all, keep thinking rationally. For more insightful analyses and those moments of reflection, remember you can find Mindful Moments and our podcasts on various platforms. And don't forget to click the link on screen for the in-depth book summary. Please subscribe, share, use the purchase link if you're interested, and always think rationally.